Years in prison. The good news is he was a vendor and not a permanent resident. Let's prepare to go on a journey of discovery. Think of it as being a detective solving a murder mystery, but without the murder. For example, is that salesman being honest or conniving? When your son said that the dog ate his homework, well, we pretty well know what happens there. But our speaker, Brian Galke, is known as the Decoding Detective. Today he's going to share insights on what some facial expressions mean. And when someone scratches their nose while talking, are they hiding something? If somebody kind of has a nervous laugh, what does that mean? Well, buckle up and prepare to learn how to read facial expressions like never before. He's been reading yours the last few minutes. Now you've got the chance to be watching him. So please join us in welcoming the Decoding Detective, Brian Galke.
How are we doing sound-wise? Good? All right, we're gonna load up the presentation. Now, we were having problems with the clicker earlier, so if you see me go, and it doesn't move, that'll be the reason why. All right, so what we're gonna learn today is how to become dangerous in your professional life, in your personal life, and yes, even in your love life. And what we're gonna teach people about is how to understand other people based on their resting facial features. So it's kind of cool because you can look up people ahead of time and understand how do I learn to speak to that person that you're talking to. So. But yes, it's how to build instant rapport with people, how to manage conflict, how to deal with coworkers, you name it. And more importantly, this day and age, how to increase customer satisfaction at the exact same time. Because it's hard with AI coming in and everything else. Sometimes it's a race to the bottom on what are we going to do to increase our business and or stay in business. I guess you need to do that because I just did it and it didn't move. There we go. All right, so I'm going to stand more on this side of the room for a majority of time. Sorry for you guys. Don't worry, I will come back for you later. But we talk about faces all the time. We say, take one on the chin, keep a stiff upper lip, I'm all ears. We talk about faces all the time, and we don't realize that's actually describing how to understand everyone that you deal with in life. So it's kind of a crazy thing, but when you look at people, just like the examples here, like foreheads tell you how does somebody think. Eyebrows and forehead lines right here tell you how structured are they. How do they want the information to be presented to you. Lips, whether to get personal or keep it strictly business. Jaw size tells you their tenacity. Do they latch into their position once they make up their mind? And chin is how do you deliver news? So we all say the phrase, take one on the chin. That's more than a boxing term. That's how does somebody handle criticism and adversity at the exact same time. I'm gonna have to stay over here. There we go. All right, so this example, just three people, if they were walking in and I'm going to work with them in business, I would talk to all three of the people in three different ways. So person number one needs more time, and he always thinks about others first. Person number two makes decisions faster. Person number three, depends on if I'm selling them something personally or professionally, how I'm going to talk to the person. So yes, even just eyebrows. Eyebrows alone, and that's what we're going to have time to really talk about today, tells you how to interact with people. And I know some people are thinking, there's entire businesses that shape eyebrows. Well, if you go in and you have a straight eyebrow, they don't give you an angled one. Or if you have a rounded one, they don't make it angled. So they're constantly, it's the muscles underneath the skin is what changes it over time. So even if you get your eyebrows tattooed on, they can still change over periods of time. But why are these skills important? Because with AI and automation coming into play, then what we're seeing is people who work on soft skills like we're going to talk about today, 20% higher win rate, more importantly, 50% better peer connection. So when you're in rooms like this and you start learning how do I talk to the person, you can look and just with eyebrows alone, you can figure out, do I make it a long story? Do I get it a short story? How does it happen? In your businesses, lower turnover because this day and age, after 2024 was the great resignation. And that's where everyone quit because they didn't feel like, hey, I'm just a number in the corporation. So now it's how to understand the people that you're working with. And then last but not least, boosting productivity. When you figure out how people are wired, you can get what you need so much faster. I'm gonna have to move away from that one. But I'm still gonna stay over here. Okay. What's the worst thing you're gonna get after listening to me today? How to get free upgrades in hotels and airlines. How to get free food and drinks when you go out. All right, so it makes it more interesting again. I do this all the time. I go out to restaurants, I teach this to servers, and they're like, hey, what about this person? Hey, what about that person? Also, I'm like, hey, can we get you something? I'm like, yes, you can. So that's where the free food and drinks comes into play. I am going to have to stay up here. So questions I get asked, can I read palms? No. Am I a wizard? Absolutely not. And can I predict the future? If I could, I'd be sitting on a beach instead of with you guys today. But it is how to understand people based on their resting facial features. I'm an introvert by nature. Growing up, I always pick up books on body language, statement analysis, you name it. And in 2010, I met someone here in Fort Worth. By the way, I grew up in Bedford, so whoever said go Trojans earlier, I went to Trinity, yes. So yeah, I grew up in Bedford, went to Trinity, moved away, and now I live in Dallas. But I've been out here for quite a bit. But the skills you're gonna learn today is what took me from being an introvert on the help desk to a regional vice president of sales with a $40 million book of business. And like we were talking about earlier, yes, I sold technology to jails and prisons, so you talk about some interesting environments to be in, because we deal with government officials all the way from governors of the state down to teaching inmates how to use our products. So we had to learn how to talk to all kinds of people when we were out there. Dang it. All right, so what's it about? I know, I keep wanting to go visit you guys and I can't. But what it's about is basically, like when I started off in sales, I was like the person on the left, and I was making it all about me and my product and everything else. And what I realized is when you're presenting to people, they check out. But when you're having conversations with people, they check back in. So by learning to pay attention to people's facial features and give them your time and attention, they learn to give theirs back at the exact same time. And that's what really changes the game, especially like we're talking about with AI and automation. If you're just texting people and emailing people, AI can do that for you. I don't know how familiar everybody is with ChatGPT, but with what they just released this week, it's gonna be even more of a game changer than it already is. But what we're gonna talk about today is just how to understand people based on facial features, what else do I train on, statement analysis, body language, everything else, but we don't have time for that today. So we're just gonna get right to work on faces. And what it is it's like Batman. Who's my favorite superhero? I even have on Batman socks today. It wasn't because he was born with a superpower, it was because everything he put in his utility belt is what made him successful. And that's what we're learning today, is just another tool for your utility belt. Right back to where I'm gonna be. Okay, so the cool thing about this is you can use it in Zoom or in the room with people. When did everything change for us? 2020. Why? Because body language is out the window. You can't see what people are doing, or their arms crossed, or their legs crossed. We all did the Zoom look, which was professional up top and like workout gear down below, right? But you could still always see their faces no matter what they did. But even when I'm walking into rooms like this where I had no idea who anybody was besides John, when I'm walking in, I can look at people and figure out, okay, how do I speak to that person? And that's what makes it really crazy. How did I get into this? Fluke circumstance. I went to dinner. A friend was in from out of town. She said, let's go to dinner tonight. I show up at the restaurant. She cancels. I'm like, what? Why are you canceling? She's like, you gotta come meet this guy. I'm like, why? She goes, because he reads faces. And I go, yeah, I'm not coming for that crap. And she finally convinced me to go, but I went with a plan, and that plan was I was going to destroy this guy because he's gotta be full of crap, right? And so I'm gonna walk up here, hopefully the microphone doesn't reverberate too loud. So I'm gonna turn it off. That's what I was gonna say. There we go. All right, perfect. So I met this gentleman right here, Mac Fulfer. Mac Fulfer was an attorney who taught at TCU. So he started off at TCU, went to UT for undergrad, and he stumbled across face reading for jury consulting. And he ended up walking away from his law practice because he realized, holy crap, I can use this in everywhere in life. So I still thought he was full of crap, so I showed up, I thought, oh, this guy's gonna say these generic things like, oh, you've had a hard time in life. You know somebody's name who starts with M, what's known as like Barnum statements. And I got there, so I was like, I'm gonna bust this guy. And he sat us down at a table just like this, and he went person by person, analyzing their face. And I couldn't catch him saying the same thing with different facial features. And then he got to me, and I was like, dude, this guy's been digging through my trash. Like, it was crazy what he could tell me about me just based on my facial features alone. But what it's based on is there's 43 muscles in the face, the mind creates movement, movement creates muscle. So our faces are constantly changing over time. And once people find out what I do for a living, nobody ever wants to look at me, so what do? I show a picture of me. So that is in my 1993. I had amazing hair back then, right? That was the day and age of Vanilla Ice. But what you gotta look at is what's changed on my face. My ears used to stick out more. My eyebrows were straight before, now they're angled. And then my eyes angled down. So all these things are constantly changing. From the minute we're born to the minute we pass away, our faces are changing based on the thoughts we have, control the muscles in the face, and just like every other muscle in the body, the more we use it, they grow or shrink. There we go. So the crazy part is this is actually part of the academic system until Henry VIII said, I don't like the idea that beggars or vagabonds can use this against their fellow man. He had it yanked out. But it was kept alive through authors and artists. So why would authors take it? Because authors needed it to describe characters in the book. Come on. Uh-oh. Yeah, you might have to use my man. Oh, there it goes. It caught back up. So how do you describe characters in the book? Through their actions and through their facial features. So they all took the exact same courses. That's why when you go and read different books, we can picture the people that we imagine in the book. And that's why when they make a movie out of it and they pick the most popular movie star that looks nothing like the character in the book, we don't like the movie. We pay far more attention to faces than we realize we do. And because we all had required reading as a kid, we've been trained on how to understand people based on their faces over time. Now I also have an 8-year-old, so I watch a lot of Disney movies. Well, guess who else took these courses? Artists. So that's why you can go anywhere in the world and you see the same facial features. If you say, draw me a witch, they all look the same. Draw me the devil, they all look the same. And that's because they took the exact same courses that the authors did to learn to describe characters and draw them as well. So fairy tales, comic books, movies, television, we've been trained our entire life to understand people. You just haven't been formally trained until today. So faces, we talk about them all the time. Like we said before, take one on the chin, keep a stiff upper lip, take one, I'm all ears, keep your nose to the grindstone. We talk about faces nonstop. And faces are really a map that tells you where's someone been and where are they today. So wrinkles, if you used to think they were bad, they're not. They're just information for people, right? Like, hey, this is what this person's been through. And it's crazy that there's all these things on here. Anybody's welcome to look at the book later on. I was a bigger fan of the flashcards because that's what really changed everything for me. And the big thing is, again, I wasn't born with this. Anybody can learn a skill. It can completely change your teams at work, everything. All right, so we all talked about artificial intelligence. If you're not using it, you need to. But the thing about artificial intelligence is right now, it's estimated to get rid of 30% of jobs by 2030. That's 800 million jobs that will be replaced. Now, what they're not talking about is younger kids can't even get jobs because those entry-level jobs have been erased and replaced by AI at the same time. That's why soft skills, like what we're learning today, body language, statement analysis, you name it, anything that can teach you more about your fellow person is vastly, vastly important. Forgot to start my timer earlier. All right, now what I think is most important is you have to actually be interested in other people. When I was in sales, they want us to talk about our product for forever and ever, and then you come across as just having commission breath. And when anybody has commission breath, we know they're in it for the sale and they don't care about me. And what happens, it's like that, being on a bad date with somebody who's super needy. You want to run out the window, right? But when you learn to focus on other people and you actually let them know, oh, you're actually talking to me, you're having a conversation with me, and it's a conversation versus a presentation, and you can show people their wins, it changes everything. So when you learn to focus on other people, and you add in not just operations and everything else, but you add in heart and caring about other people, it changes everything for you. So what's really odd is this day and age, we don't check in with each other anymore, we check online. Hey, I don't know what's going on with Steve, I'm just gonna see what's going on his social media page. That's why learning to make people feel seen and heard is changing everything right now. There's 4 basic human needs: physical safety, emotional safety. People want to feel seen and heard, and people want to feel connected. And that's what we're going to learn today in the time we have remaining. So this is where it's fun for me, because before we jump into faces, I'm going to have you guys take a selfie of yourself, because later you're going to look at your own faces going, what does my face say? And then what I do is I take a picture of it while you guys are doing it. So it's kind of my fun while you guys are doing that part. All right. And I'm going to show you guys a ninja sales trick at the exact same time. Because once everybody's done with their selfies, then you can go, oh, did you know I have a QR code? And you happen to have your phones out. So the QR code's there just because we don't have time to go through all the books I recommend today, but on that page what it's going to be is every book I recommend you guys pick up. You can download a cheat sheet if you want as well, but that's how to follow me on any of the social media platforms, but I recommend a lot of books. I just finished one called The 6-Minute X-Ray. That's freaking amazing. I think everyone should pick up that book. Everybody's got their QR codes done? Okay. All right. So now we're going to jump right into how to understand other people and make sure you're speaking everyone's language. And what do we mean by that is there's 3 basic ways that people learn information. People are auditory, people are visual, or people are kinesthetic. Now we don't always know that, but people's faces will actually tell you how to talk to them. So everybody here seen the show The Voice? Okay, so for anybody who hasn't, it's 4 judges that sit like this. If they like what they hear, then they turn around to see what the person actually looks like. You may see 4 celebrities, 4 musicians. I see 4 people that are perfect for the job. Why? Because in proportion for the size of their face, they all have larger ears and smaller eyes. You can go through every season of The Voice, all the judges are the same way. People go, well, yeah, they're musicians. Doesn't that just prove the point even more? So when you see somebody that, for the size of their face, are their ears large or small? If their ears are larger and their eyes are small, they're auditory people. So what do auditory people like? They like to hear things. So when you're talking to them, give them a call. Send them a voice text. I'm visual. You send me a voice text, I hate you because I don't want to listen to it. Right? But they want to hear about things. So now I love sending people videos because it's both visual and auditory at the same time. You're knocking out 2 of the 3, and we can teach you how to do the kinesthetic after that. So when you're talking to them, what do you say? It's like, oh, I hear what you're saying. Oh, it sounds like what you're saying is this. Or, hey, come take and listen to this for a minute. Those are all auditory phrases. And people go, Brian, this is manipulation. No, it's not. It's respect. So I was a younger traveler. I'd go to other countries, and I thought, well, they should speak English, and if they don't, well, I'll speak English louder. Right? That's what we're doing. We're literally doing that because, like, I'm visual. I will hang up the phone and say, okay, I'll see you later. I'm visual. If you only talk to somebody in the way that you learn, you're isolating 2/3 of the population. But if you learn to look at them and think, what do we have in common? What's different? Are we both visual? Are we auditory? Are we kinesthetic? You can change things at the same time. So here we have a philosopher, an artist, and, a philosopher, an author, and an artist, right? We don't even have to see the first two's eyes or ears, but we can see they have large eyes, right? Anybody know who the third person is? Did he think ears were important? Cut him off, send it to his girlfriend, right? But Edgar Allan Poe is the one there in the middle. You can Google Edgar Allan Poe and physiognomy, which is what this is based upon, and it talks about how he took classes to describe all the characters in his books. But when you see visual people, what do we want? Send me text messages, send me emails, memes. I love them all day long. I want to see things. When I'm talking to people, I'll whip out my phone and be like, oh, let me show you all these things. That's a visual person. What words do we like? We like words like, hey, come take a look at this. Oh, I see what you're saying. I get the picture. So it's learning to speak other people's language at the same time. So when you look at someone, you can personalize the presentation instead of just pitch your product or service to people. And that's where it really changes things. Now the third one here is a little bit harder to see, but it's below the nose and above the lip. The wider that area is, that's your kinesthetic hands-on learners. Those are people who want to hold things like the flashcards. Those are people when you go to trade shows and you see booths, they pick up the little squeezy balls. So if I'm working with someone, let's say I want to get a speaking gig or they want to bring me into their company to train their staff, I'll send them an electronic copy of the contract, but I'll say, hey, can you print this out so we can go over it? Why? I want something in their hands at the same time. So they are, let them touch it, use action words when you're talking to them. If you're recording a video for them, so we teach this in car dealerships, it's like, hey, let's go take a look at that car you want to take a look at. Why? Because they're going on a walk with me. And that's what kinesthetic people are. They're action word people. So when you're talking to them, hey, let's go take a walk over here. Hey, sit down. Let's get moving on this project. Use action words at the same time. Now, people go, well, I don't always have time to know who I'm going to deal with or look them up on LinkedIn. That's fine. People tell you in every text message, phone call, and email how to talk to them. So you guys can't see this because it's kind of small, but this was an email from a CEO, and it says, sit down, take the medicine, run the risk, position yourself, embrace. I already know he's a kinesthetic learner. So how did I respond? All action words, and that's how I got the gig. Because people can help us get anything we want in life if we learn how to ask the right way. So they say communication is about what's the best way to make sure the other person understands the message you're trying to relay. And that's what we're doing, is making the message about the other person, not just what our desires are. Making sense so far? All right. So where can you use this? Complete strangers, staff, co-workers. I use this in vendor contracts. We used this on a $20 million contract for a particular state one time for a contract. And it was just the people, when you go in, people in corrections are very stoic. They sit like this the entire time. I'm like, well, crap, body language is out the window. So we had to base everything based on their facial features. Where else does it work? In your friends and family. People you've known your entire life, you learn to look at differently. Like we're gonna learn this a little bit later, but people with low eyebrows have a tendency to interrupt other people. Whereas that used to upset me, I'm like, that's just the way they're wired. So with the face comes grace. If you learn to look at people, number one, you're giving them your time and attention again, but things that used to drive me nuts, now I just go, that's just the way they're wired. All right, there we go. So what industries has this worked on? Oh, went one too many. What industries has it worked on? You name it, it's out there. Probably the most interesting is people who knock on doors for a living. Yes, they still do this. So they have 7 seconds before somebody slams the door shut, pulls a gun on them, or calls the cops. And they talk their way into sitting in people's living rooms and dining room tables. It's crazy. But that's one of probably the biggest ones I talk to. Automotive, real estate, negotiations. I teach this to attorneys. Mac was an attorney who taught it to me, but we also teach it for jury consulting. And then during the pandemic, what else happened is people went to online dating, which is a pretty picture and a bunch of lies down below. So I created a course called Looking for Love in AllTheWrongFaces.com. And that's because I was so tired of people sending me pictures going, well, what does this face mean? What does that face mean? I just created a course so people leave me the F alone. And don't worry, if you're skeptical, so was I. Like I said, I went to go prove that Mac was a fraud, but be a curious skeptic and look for ways to prove things wrong. And that's in every area of life, because if you can't prove it wrong, you can add to your rotation. If you can prove it wrong, you throw it away. So be skeptical, but be a curious skeptic at the exact same time. And that, if you are, then you're my people. All right, so how long have I been doing this? 14 years. I met Mac in 2010. I still didn't trust it. I would take this book with me everywhere and I'd lay it out. Human curiosity would kick in. And people go, what's the book about? I go, well, I kind of think this guy was full of crap, but can I ask you some questions? And I would show them where on their face it was in the book. While it wasn't 100%, it was in the high 90s. And that's where that free food and drinks also came back in later on. So the way that we normally end things, but we don't have time to today, is I bring people up on stage, because once you learn it, then we would bring it up for repetition. But if you look at the people here, they always come up wanting to be very stoic, but they always leave smiling, because it's unbelievable that this amount of information is out there, but it wasn't taught to us before. It's kind of unnerving at the same time. So we talked earlier, people go, well, what about genetics, Brian? Well, you are 60% what you inherited from genetics. Your parents, your grandparents, you name it. But from the minute you're born, something known as epigenetics comes into play, and that is how does the outside world affect you down to a DNA level. So we all know somebody like the guy in yellow here, which is big upper body, little tiny legs. That is not genetics. That dude skipped leg day every day, right? So those muscles shrank, everything else got bigger, and our faces are no different. From the elevated position, it seems to work a lot better here. There we go. So people ask all the time, can you tell me who's a liar and who's a cheater? No, can't do that. That's statement analysis, that's body language. People go, well, what about plastic surgery, Botox, you name it? Look, that's an affect to effect change, meaning if you have something done, it changes the way people treat you. So the affect change affects how people treat you. The number one plastic surgery in the world right now is lip enhancement. Why? Because we all say the phrase, keep a stiff upper lip. So if you get your lips done, we know larger lips are more approachable on people. So what happens is somebody will go get their lips done, and all of a sudden more people will talk to them, and so that affect becomes an effect change over time. But before there was plastic surgery, what was there? Makeup. So my favorite example is you take any kid, you paint their face, they become whatever's on their face. Women, y'all get up and do this every day. You would say, this is what I want to highlight about my face, pay attention to it. We're going, okay, sure. Right? So we've been looking at modifying the face for a very, very long time. And don't worry, with what you're learning today, people are like, well, I don't want to instantly dissect people. Even I have to want to turn it on. So it's not like the Terminator or anything else where just, scientific formulas pop up. But when you want to make a connection with people, we're going to teach you how to do it just on eyebrows alone. So you guys ready to dive in? Cool. All right, so what I love about it is this is the first proactive skill I ever ran across, meaning, well, statement analysis, you got to talk. Body language, you got to move. But I could go and look up people on LinkedIn and social media before I ever met with them and figure out how can I make the presentation about the person. And when you personalize something, we feel it, right? If somebody's selling us the same canned material that they sell to everyone, it's different than when it's personalized for us. So once you look them up, like here's in LinkedIn, I just go find every single facial feature and figure out what does it mean and how do I customize the presentation for them. So go to LinkedIn. After LinkedIn, I move to social media. Why? LinkedIn photos may be older, but it's a great place to start. This is Sam Taggart. He's the one that runs that door-to-door training every year. And after I trained all his people, he ended up putting me in his book. And now it's trained to every one of his new hires is how to read faces. Because when people open the door, right, to answer, they get like this much. That's all you can see is the face. They're like, what do you want? So body language, once again, is out the window. But you learn to look at people, and we saw this earlier, but every feature just tells you a little bit about someone. And it's crazy, because like I said, there's hundreds and hundreds of pages out here, and there's dozens and dozens of books on it. It's just body language became more popular. But we should all learn this because we are so disconnected from each other. They estimate that depression is up 70% because people are looking at everybody else's social media thinking, well, my life isn't as good as theirs. We all know social media is a little bit of crap, right? We only put our best things up there. We didn't talk about all the bad things that happen every day, but we're still affected by looking at it. If it makes sense. All right. So what I like about reading faces is you're giving people your time and attention. Body language is good, but if you stare too much down low, people are like, hey, where are you looking? What are you doing? Like, are we having a conversation or not? So that's what I really love about faces. Now the cool thing is you can also do this on Zoom. This, if you guys do Zoom calls, is a free giveaway. The best tip for Zoom ever. Get a Post-it note and a pen, draw an arrow, and put it where your freaking camera is. Because what we end up doing is we end up looking down at the Brady Bunch to see how everybody's reacting, and we're not making eye contact with people. When it's your time to talk, look at where the arrow is. People will pay attention because you're looking at them in the eye from their computer side of what they see. Simple, simple fix. All right, you guys ready to take a look at eyebrows? If you don't think eyebrows are important, go and Google people without eyebrows. Don't do it at night, because this is what you will get. Even celebrities you've known your entire life look creepier without eyebrows, right? Nicolas Cage. Angelina Jolie, I used to think she was hot without eyebrows, she's not. And people are like, Brian, that's horrible. How can you leave us on that? No problem, I got you. Do eyebrows matter? Yeah. So changing one aspect of someone's face changes how we perceive them. So if you still don't think it matters, we took away one feature, just your eyebrow. Do you feel like you can talk to the person on the left versus the right? Crazy, right? So there's studies done by the FBI and other three-letter agencies that when a stranger enters the room, the first thing we look is at their eyebrows to see, are they raised in recognition or are they furrowed and they're a foe? So we naturally look at eyebrows first, then we look at, once we get eyebrows, what's in their hands that can hurt me? So we're already looking there anyway, instinctively, why not figure out how to understand the person walking in the door? And why do I teach eyebrows first? Because eyebrows lead to eye contact, which is a lost art this day and age. I might get a little bit ahead of myself, but a recent study was done in December of 2023. 800 employers trying to hire kids out of high school and college. 53% of the people applying couldn't make eye contact. 21% turned off their camera for a virtual interview. And my favorite is 19% brought their parents. So why is that important? It's easy to make fun of, but what we realize is we have to learn to over-communicate because the people coming up can't. And it's easy to make fun of, but we gave them the device that caused the issue. And that is, this device allows me to have the perfect picture, create the perfect text message, the perfect email. And so when we put them in real life examples, they don't know what to do. It's stressful, right? You can order everything by phone, dinner, dates, you name it, groceries. You don't even have to leave the house or talk to a single person in real life. But as I mentioned before, we always talk about facial features, you just haven't paid attention. So we talk about highbrow humor and lowbrow humor. Highbrow humor is when a comedian tells a joke, you gotta think about it, and then you laugh. Lowbrow humor is Jackass, Three Stooges, physical comedy, Charlie Chaplin, you name it. Well, it's not just named after class, it's actually named after how do people take in and process information. So people with high eyebrows, which is anything more than a finger width above the eye, need more time to make a decision. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It's just they've been raising their eyebrows over time versus squinting down and making decisions. I know everybody's talking, this is why I told you guys to take photos earlier, right? Because everybody's looking at their neighbor. So imagine if the forehead is like a street and your eyebrow is a speed bump. The higher the speed bump, I can only go so fast, I have to go over the speed bump, and then I can continue again. However, if it's their eyebrows like sitting right above their eye, that's like putting a speed bump right by the stop sign, right? People can race down that street. So what I do is, if I was going into somebody's, to a meeting and they had 30 minutes on their calendar and they had a high eyebrow, I'm probably gonna be talking about 20, 25 minutes. But if I walked in and they've got low eyebrows, like all four of the people here, the longer I talk, the more I lose them. So I would change my presentation based on the person. So if we were going in and we used to have these blind evaluation committees, and we walked in, if everybody had low eyebrows, we're like, oh, we're setting up the PowerPoints and everything, we're deleting slides. Because we knew like, oh crap, this is for the wrong room. So you can have two different versions of anything you want to talk about, and eyebrow height alone will tell you how fast or how long do I talk to them. So now that you guys know, high eyebrows need more time, low eyebrows make decisions fast, what person needs the most amount of time in this group? What number? 4. Then what number? 3. And 1, 2, and 5 are pretty much the same. So when you walk into a room, I would literally look for the highest eyebrow person, start talking to them first, then I talk to the other people. It gives them time to make a decision. So it's crazy, but you can look at people and figure out this quickly. Right? Now, that's eyebrow height. Now we're gonna talk about eyebrow shape. Even Legos knows there's 3 basic shapes of eyebrows. I'm telling you, we're surrounded by it everywhere you go. In Legos North Park Mall, walk past the Lego display, you're gonna see those 3 eyebrows right there. And as kids, we learned to put the right peg in the right hole was how you won the game. So eyebrows are no different. So there's 3 basic shapes of eyebrows, and that is straight eyebrows, think get straight to the point. Facts, figures, data. Okay? I mentioned that we're influenced by television and movies. Who's the guy at the top? Spock. What was Spock known for? Logic, data. Warren Buffett, does he care about the sentiment of the stock or does he care about the numbers? Straight eyebrow people get straight to the point. Facts, figures, data. Number 2, angled eyebrows. I did not get this angled eyebrow until I became a corporate trainer. So angled eyebrow people are, what's my angle? Help me understand it so then I can help other people. So if you're selling, help get them to buy in first, then they know how to help the people around them. Ruth Ginsburg wanted to help women, but she had to go to law school first. So when you see angled eyebrows, just think, what's their angle? Help them understand it, then they can help others. Last but not least is rounded eyebrows, which is they think about the people around them first and themselves second. So when I grew up, like Oprah was the big TV show. Well, it was called Oprah, but we didn't watch it for her. We watched for who was she gonna interview and what was she gonna do for her audience members. So when you see people with rounded eyebrows, they think about other people first, themselves second. So if anybody's been on an airplane, which I'm pretty sure everybody has, when you hear the whole, in the event of emergency, please put on your own mask before the mask of others. That's for rounded eyebrow people. Because if not, they would try and help everybody else and just pass out in the aisle and be chaos and everything. So when you're talking to them, it's how do their friends benefit, their families, you name it. You make it about everybody in their sphere first and how they benefit second. So when you start looking at people, it's so simple. Like I walk into hotels all the time, and based on, I've always wanted to upgrade in the hotel, I look at who's at the desk. If they got a straight eyebrow, I'd like an upgrade, please. If they have an angled eyebrow, hi, I'm Brian Galke, I'm a diamond member. Is an upgrade available? Why? What's their angle? They're helping a diamond member. And then last but not least, rounded eyebrows. Oh, that flight was so long, that drive-in was so long. I get claustrophobic in these rooms. If I had a larger room, it would just be awesome. Is an upgrade available? Can you upgrade me? I get the upgrades all the time because I'm asking based on the person at the desk versus what I want. And if the worst thing you get out of this is you make someone feel seen and heard, you've already won. You just get an extra opportunity to win a little bit more. Harder to do on airlines, but not impossible. I was in Indianapolis trying to fly home back to Dallas one time and do the storms. So like, we're gonna reroute you to New York, and then from New York, you're gonna spend 6 hours in LaGuardia Airport when it's closed, and then fly home at 7 a.m. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing that. So I went early, and I walked up, and the lady had rounded eyebrows. Not when you check in at the front, this lady at the desk, the actual gate agent. And I said, hey, how are your coworkers doing? Why? Because she had rounded eyebrows. She said, they're doing okay. I said, I know they control the weather, right? And everybody's yelling at them. And she's like, yeah. And then she laughed. I said, now, how are you doing? She said, I'm doing okay. I said, great. I'm on that 8 o'clock flight that got delayed and has to go to New York. If I can get, and I got second best seat in the house, which is exit row. If I can get on this 3 o'clock flight, I can go to New York. I've got a friend who lives there that I haven't seen in several years. We can go to dinner, we can hang out. I'll still make that flight at 7 a.m. the next day, but it gives me time in New York City. Did I get on the flight? Where'd she put me? First class, and I should not have been there. People have the power to give you anything you want in life if you learn how to communicate your needs to them. And it's this simple. Eyebrows alone, how much time, what shape, how do I present the information, can change everything. So person number 1 here, does he make decisions fast or slow? Who does he think about? People around him. Person number 2, decisions fast or slow? What kind of information do you give them? Straight to the point, facts, fierce data. Here's what's crazy. Can't even see their eyebrows. But we select our glasses based on our eyebrows, with the exception of us angle-eyed people. They only have the crazy cat lady glasses. So even across the room, people's choices in glasses, not sunglasses, because style is more important than that, but from across the room, I can look at glasses and figure out how do I talk to the person. Kind of crazy, right? All right, the last person, I'm gonna go ahead and give it away. She's got 2 different eyebrows, because some people are asymmetrical. So the bad news is, we're all a little two-faced. And yeah, it's true, but it's because we have a personal side and we have a professional side of our face. So how do you remember what's somebody's personal side? If you said, hey, are you married? Kind of a personal question, right? Wedding rings in the US go on this hand. It's always the personal side, no matter what. You can also, personal ends in L. I don't recommend looking at people going, because that doesn't go very well. But you just remember, personal ends in L, or wedding ring is a personal question. This is always the personal side of their face. It's about right brain versus left brain thinking. Gender doesn't matter. Where in the world you're born doesn't matter. It's right brain versus left brain thinking. Told you I'm a Batman nerd here. Look, Bruce Wayne on his left, Batman on his right. Easy way to remember it. So you gotta think, is what they're buying a personal decision or a professional decision if their eyebrows are different? And that's how you adjust it at the same time. So with that, this is a couple that came into an RV dealership. Who do you think I talked to first? What did I talk to her about? Who are you gonna go visit? Wait till your neighbors see you pull up in this RV, right? You talk about the people around and then bring it back to her. What about him? What do you think we talked about? Towing capacity, miles per gallon, interest rate, you name it. You can apply this to anything. If they were shopping for a house, I'd ask him, what are you interested in? A 3.3, a 2.2 interest rate percentage? You know, for her, what are these other rooms for? Are you gonna entertain? You know, it doesn't matter the industry. You're learning to talk to the person about every purchase they're ever gonna make in their life. So, that, we're gonna be wrapping up. Easy way to remember it is the acronym FACE. Find a feature, assess the meaning, convert it, and express it back to them. So look them up on social media if you have the ability. Find a good picture like that where it's straight on. Then pick a favorite feature. You guys learned eyebrows today. That's one of 150 different possible features to take a look at on face. Then say, is it like me? Oops, sorry, I'm going too fast. Is it like me? So before I say things, because I'm visual, I have to look and go, are they auditory, are they visual or not? And if I need to change it, then that's when I translate it. Then I express it back to them. That's pretty much it. So this one is a secret trick real fast, and this will be one of the last things to talk about. If you're talking to people, people's eyes are like camera lenses. So when they're open to hearing what you're talking about. So what you can see on her is her lower eyelid is rounded in picture number 1. Picture number 2, it goes straight. When it goes straight, somebody's trying to shut you out. We're taught to be nice to people, but that you can't control that lower eyelid. When it goes straight, you've just flatlined. Something you said or did has caused that deal to go away. And they'll walk out of the room and never tell you why, but as soon as you see that go straight, you think, oh, it's time to do CPR. So people can look and say, like, but look at that big smile on her face. But what did she do? She also put a big barrier in between you and her. So it's not always about smile, but people can't control that lower lid, and you'll know when you're about to lose a deal. So again, I was in that contract for the large state. in both the attorney's eyes and the person we're negotiating with, their lower eyelids went straight. I'm like, ooh, this isn't good. I said, well, it just seems like something wasn't sitting right. Like, yeah, you violated this part of the RFP, and if so, you guys are disqualified. I'm like, no, let us answer that. But they were going to disqualify us without saying a word. Because everybody's litigious and everything else this day and age. But by seeing go from rounded to straight, I knew we need to identify a problem. So again, you're giving people your time and attention is what really changes things. So with that being said, we're gonna wrap it up. What all we learned today, and this is really important, more so than anything. Right now, building rapport is how you build relationships. People are trying through, like I said, text messaging, email, everything else. That's how you get business. But we all know relationships are how you keep business at the same time. When you get in the rooms with people and you can make people feel seen and heard, it changes everything for people. They will stay with you for all the right reasons when you're there. I'm kind of passionate about this. I mentioned before, I have an 8-year-old. Look, her friends are on tablets more time, and she has a tablet. I'm not anti-tablet. But we went to a restaurant. We said, hey, let's go. We'll take the kids, everything. When we got there, both their kids already had headphones on and tablets in front of them. And we didn't bring her. So I'm like, ooh, what do we do, right? So you gotta learn to teach future generations what's the importance of eye contact? What's the importance of being in the room with people? Because you go out, and this is what I see in a majority of restaurants, right? I'm like, why do you guys even come in together? Just DoorDash your food and text each other. But this is the world that kids are growing up, including my daughter, so I'm quite passionate about that. This is the intelligent.com study we talked about earlier today. 53% struggle with eye contact, 21% refused to turn on the camera for a virtual interview, and then the 19% brought parents. I did ask why the 19% brought parents, and the only consensus I've gotten so far is kids Uber now, they don't even want to get driver's licenses. So their parents will bring them. And the new term is, like I grew up, the term was helicopter parents, I'm 50. And what I learned is the new term is lawnmower parents, because what they want to hear is what adversity are my kids facing, and how can I mow it down for them so they don't have to, right? And it's done out of love, but it's going to hurt people because we all need adversity to grow as people. So with that, where can you use this all today? Look, your coworkers, your customers, increased customer satisfaction, and then your business grows as a result of that. So what do? We teach sales teams, team building, team bonding, leadership, how do you understand people? I learned this through the flashcards of my mentor, Mac, through the book, but go out and practice this in person. So when you go out there, servers are the best people to practice on. Why? They're overworked, they're underpaid, people barely even make eye contact with them when they're ordering food. If you take just a few seconds, the best thing you'll get is better service. But you also may change a life, you could also save a life with the skills you learned today. People feel so disconnected that they're alone and nobody understands or pays attention to them. Eye contact can change that, and you never know where it can lead. So with that, if you guys have any input how we can improve this presentation or anything, this will just be a rating thing for me. You guys are my guinea pigs. I signed up for this like an hour and a half ago, so I've never used this. But I was like, why not try it, right? In Chamber of Commerce, let's give it a shot. So with that, thank you for all your time today. Turn that off.
All right. John, I took a picture of you, and I'll discuss what's going on in a little bit. Thank you again, Brian. That was fascinating, very fascinating. We have some upcoming events. The Business Success Seminar is going to be next Wednesday at 11:15 at Dos Amores, Tex-Mex. The Wild Luncheon is going to be held on August 26th